Do you hear that? No, really though. That's the sound of tinnitus, and if you're going to make a hobby out of turning money into noise via recreational shooting, then you have to protect your hearing. Like, it's not an option, you have to do it. Or else you're gonna hear this all the time. So today we're gonna take a look at different options on hearing protection, what I recommend based on the different situations, all that great stuff. Are you ready? Stand by. Welcome back to the Humble Marksman channel, the only gun channel on YouTube that is bringing BDE to the gun space. What's that, you ask? That stands for Big Dad Energy. You don't believe me? Believe the pants cam. Yeah, that's right. So there's basically two types of hearing protection. There's in-ear, which is plugs, and over-ear, which is muffs or cans, or all of them are colloquially known as ears when you get on the range and start shooting with folks. So we're gonna break the video into three parts. We're gonna talk about the different choices and what settings make them applicable. We're gonna talk about kind of the bells and whistles and features and enhancements, and then we're gonna actually review three different hearing protection products from Axil. Axil's not technically a sponsor for today's video, but I have three Axil products and they sent me two of which to review, so that's what this is. We're gonna review some hearing protection. But seriously, if you get nothing else from this video, you need to protect your ears. So shooting at an indoor range, this is probably the most common scenario many new shooters are gonna find themselves in, just because indoor ranges are more convenient and not super far away. The problem with indoor ranges is they are super duper loud, especially if you're doing stall shooting. So what you've got on either side of you and above you is bulletproof material, and usually a bare cement floor or some kind of hard flooring. And what that means is the explosion going off 3 feet from your face is echoed off these things on either side of you back down at you. So you really need a really high NRR or noise reduction rating on your ears. So a lot of inexpensive hearing protection is going to have an NRR of 22, and simply that is not enough for indoor stall shooting. It is very, very loud, especially if you're shooting rifles or Magnum revolvers or any kind of really, really loud firearm. You're gonna need more than a 22 NRR. My recommendation is a bare minimum of a 26 or a 30 or even 32 if you can get it. And for stall shooting indoors especially, I wouldn't just adapt a single like hearing pro. I would double up. I would put plugs in and then put muffs on over it for the very best protection of your ears. And the reason for that is the cans that we talk about that are going over ears. This seal to the side of your head is affected by the type of eye protection you choose to wear. So if you're using big wraparound type sunglass type eye protection, that's going to let more sound in under the can, and that's where the plugs is going to help you out in the indoor environment. But the muffs are going to shield you from the concussion, so you won't feel as much of the vibration of the sound through your skull onto your eardrums and stuff like that. So it's good to have both in an indoor setting. In an outdoor setting like a clay shoot or anything like that, maybe a competitive pistol match, those kinds of things, you're gonna want something that is more comfortable. If you're gonna be wearing the hearing protection for multiple hours, then the comfort is going to become very important. That's where cans kind of start to fall flat when you go to outdoor events, especially if you're wearing like really big bulky cans. So you're gonna have to use very thin cans, which generally don't have very high NRR, or an in-ear type application would be more appropriate. Now for indoor ranges that allow you in front of the firing line, like indoor pistol matches or anything like that, you can get away with less ears because there is not that enclosed environment that's making this sound kind of shake off the walls at you quite as badly. So if you were to boil that whole thing down, if you're shooting indoor range stall shooting, you need plugs and muffs. If you're shooting outdoors, you can use either or. You can use plugs or muffs. But generally speaking, if you're a newer shooter, I'm going to recommend that you use both. And the reason for that is new shooters tend to have flinches, and it's very natural to have a flinch because there is literally an explosion going off about 2 to 3 feet from your face. So that's why there's a flinch. By using double plugs and muting that sound to a large extent, it helps you kind of get over that natural reaction to want to dip the muzzle or like lean away from it, all those wonderful things that all the new shooters do. And it just makes a more pleasant experience, especially if you're bringing young kids to the range. Their hearing is super sensitive, so you have to double plug kids. Absolutely have to. It's not even an option, just do it. So moving on to kind of complications and what you can get as sort of enhancements, because there's like a huge range of hearing protection and what's available, and the most basic stuff is going to be like one size fits all, and it's generally not going to be super comfortable in a lot of cases. Like generally the imported from China under some crazy name brand that is non-reputable off the internet is going to have very poor pads on their cans the noise reduction rating isn't going to be very high. And if you keep them for more than a year, those pads that were never comfortable to begin with, they're gonna get really hard and they're gonna stop working because it's not gonna seal on your head as well. So probably the number one feature for me, being a large-headed shooter, I've got a really big head, not just arrogant-wise, but also just the physical size of my head is gigantic. So I need a really large band on my muffs. If I don't have a large band on my muffs, what ends up happening is I get headaches on the range. So the band is really, really important if you're buying a pair of muffs. Number two would be active hearing enhancement or Bluetooth linking. So there are electric hearing protection that has different abilities to boost sound. There's kind of electronic enhancement, and then there's like digital processing, almost like hearing aids. So the electrical whatever, I don't know the technologies, they all use a bunch of different ones. They're gonna basically, it's like you can hear the things around you, but it's gonna clip off the high concussive forces so that it doesn't damage hearing. The problem with those is there's usually like 1 or 2 mics, but it makes it sound like in most models of this that I've tried, it makes it sound like you can hear the noise, but you can't tell where the noise is coming from around you. Like somebody's walking on gravel, but you have no idea where that gravel is or that person is around you. You just know they're there. The digital products that have like 2 microphones, they're gonna let you know directionally whether it's on the left or the right where the noise is coming from. But those are generally a lot more expensive. The Bluetooth pairing should be pretty straightforward. If you're shooting by yourself and you wanna listen to music, audiobooks, podcasts, that becomes a thing. I love doing this when I'm filming on the range for my videos. It is my favorite feature of my hearing protection. For me, when I'm filming, that's an absolute must, that I need to have that Bluetooth link. And for the in-ear plugs, you can actually get plugs that are molded to the shape of your ear. And if you're somebody who goes to the range at least once a month, you need to do this. This is something that you need. And they don't have to be the super high-end hearing aid ones with the electronics built in. Just even a passive one that is shaped the shape of your ear canal. These are generally going to be the most comfortable. They're not going to make your ear hurt if you wear them for multiple hours in a day. They're very well regarded by competition shooters, and for a very good reason. So obviously adding a bunch of complications to Hearing Pro makes them more expensive. So let's talk about 3 different forms of Hearing Pro that I use personally, and I'll give you quick mini reviews on them. The very first are the cans that I use when I'm shooting pistol matches. Now, I double plug when I'm shooting my open gun because my open gun is hideously loud. Single plugs alone are not enough, so I wear muffs on top of my plugs when I shoot my open gun at outdoor ranges. It's just super loud. So these are the Sig Sauer branded TRACKR Blues from Axil Hearing Protection. The TRACKR Blue is actually pretty great, and my number one reason I really like this Hearing Pro is it has a gigantic band so that it fits my gigantic head, and I can wear these legitimately all day and not get a headache, which is a departure from what I was using for my Hearing Pro, which is the Howard Legged Impact Sports. But these are my old hearing protection. They're the loaners I give to people when we go to the range. A couple more features that I like about the TRACKR Blu is it does have the Bluetooth link, so I can listen to my podcast or whatever, but the features are pretty straightforward. It has a button to link to your Bluetooth and enable that function. It has a dial that you can ratchet up or down to do the hearing enhancing, and it has a volume level for the Bluetooth signal that's coming in. There's no hum or anything like that when you have both the hearing enhancement and Bluetooth on. All of that says there are 2 microphones, although I still can't really tell where things are in space around with these on. But they're a pretty solid piece of Hearing Pro, and they're worth easily the money that they're asking for them. I've got links if you want to check those out down in the description where you can get a pair of these. Moving on, I don't have them in my hand, so I'm just going to put an image on the screen of the 3M Classic Foamy Hearing Pro. So these are what I used as my in-ear Hearing Pro. I bought a big box of them off of Amazon. There's a link if you want to follow it. And they're relatively inexpensive. They're a little, cylinder shaped, and they work really well. Now, there is a technique to properly put in foam hearing protection, and that is going to be to roll it around in your fingers to make it come to a point, and then you're going to lift up on the top of your ear to open up your ear canal, stuff that bad boy into your ear, and then hold it there while it expands. It takes about 10 seconds. You will feel the seal, and you will then hear significantly less, and that is the correct way to install that kind of hearing protection. Super inexpensive, but you can't reuse them. You're gonna get nasty bacteria ear stuff on those things as you use them. You need to throw them away when you're done with them, which is why you buy the big box of them. Don't be gross, just get a new pair. Moving on, the Axil Ghost Strike 2.0, and these ones they did send to me. Now these are, you've seen these probably on a bunch of other YouTube channels. They are the active hearing plugs that go in your ear with the wires that go over your ear and the kind of lanyard dangles down your back. They do have the active hearing protection, which is turned on right there. It clips sound above, I don't know, like 85 decibels or something like that, anything that caused damage. And they have Bluetooth activation on the other side with a plus or minus to change the volume level. Now, fun story about the Ghost Strike 2.0. Axil sent me Ghost Strike 1.0s, and I sent them an email back saying thank you, but I'm not going to do media on these because they're not a product that I would feel comfortable recommending. And I had some issues with why I couldn't use them. So I talked to them and they said, okay, well, sit tight, we've got something else coming and we'll talk about it. So my issue with the Ghost Strike 1.0s were pretty straightforward. First and foremost, the tips that actually came with the hearing protection were too narrow. They only came with like 3 sets of very short ball type things, and then they came with these silicone tips that are absolutely worthless for using in a really loud environment like a gun range. The active hearing protection wasn't the best. Like if anything was close to 85 decibels, it would amplify it to where it was uncomfortably loud. So at a pistol match, when you're shooting around barrels and barricades, the sound of the gunfire reverberating off that surface coming back at your ear would be uncomfortably loud. So if I was like the range officer holding the clock, I would be following a shooter, I'd have to turn off the hearing protection, and then when they were done shooting, I would turn it on for scoring so I could hear what the other people on the range were saying. That's all changed now on the Ghost Strike 2.0. They come with more tips, and my criticism was that tips didn't go in deep enough to have a very good seat. Like the wire over the ear would kind of pull the plug slowly out of my ear till at one point it would just be too loud. I could hear it, the seal was broken, but now the seals are bigger, and I've used these at matches. They're fantastic. I use them when I'm filming because it has the Bluetooth link, and if it's really hot and I don't want to use the cans, I'll use these. Whatever they changed about these Ghost Strikes works really well now. And finally, the nice to have sort of feature is when they initially developed the Ghost Strikes, the charging port was a micro USB, which is a cord like everybody has stopped using like all at once. Now it charges off USB-C, and I think it's significantly better for it. So now I can actually recommend the Ghost Strike 2.0s. I think they do command the price point that they are asked for based on the features, the comfort, the ability to actually protect your hearing and everything like that. I really admire Axil for revising a product that was selling well for them because they knew they could do better. So that kind of is interesting. And just the history of Axil, they are a brand that is based out of audiologist, like actually protecting hearing. It's not just gun stuff where they're trying to import stuff and sell it to people who shoot guns. They actually do like hearing aids and things like that. So they actually have a lot of science that goes into these designs, and their customer service is actually really strong. Saving the best for last, these are the Axil Digital Ear Pro, and these are hearing aid quality. They're molded to my specific ear canals. Nobody in the world can use these except for me or people who are comfortable being uncomfortable with my ear molds shoved in their ear. These do not have Bluetooth capability. If they did, they would be just the absolute ultimate. But even without the Bluetooth capability, these are what I wear at matches now. And for people who have followed my channel, watched my stuff, or are familiar with Hunter's HD eye protection, where it's like, it's the thing that you need that you weren't aware of until you experience, and these fall firmly into that camp. I enthusiastically recommend the Hunter's HD lenses to anybody who shoots a lot because it's a major quality of life upgrade. And I didn't realize it, but these are a significant quality of life upgrade, but the price tag is absolutely immense. It is about $900, but I have a code that can save you 15% should you choose to use it of Humble15. Yes, it's an affiliate link, but at the same time, these are amazing and I would pay full price for these. I have shot 4 major matches this year with these. I've had several practice sessions at the range. When I'm around other people and I want to be hearing what's going on around me, it's almost like there's nothing in your ears, both from a comfort level and your ability to be aware of what's going on around you. Because these are hearing aid quality on the actual like amplification of sound, but at the same time, they don't amplify sound to uncomfortable levels. Like you can hear like a click when it turns on, and it happens really fast. Like you can just wear these all day. Like when I shoot major matches and we break for lunch, I don't even take them out because I don't have to, because I can hear everything going on around me. I can have conversations, I don't yell, anything like that. Like these things are such a major quality of life thing. If you're shooting more than 1 match a month, these are worth the expense to you. I know it's a lot of money, guys. Like I understand, but I'm telling you, once you try these, you're just like, I don't know that I can live without them if I were going to continue shooting competitions like all the time, and these are absolutely fantastic. So if you like any of those products, again, Humble 15 will save you 15%. I've got links to all of them in the description. There's a bunch of other really good hearing protection options out there. It's a great time. If you've got a favorite hearing pro that you use all the time, throw it out in the comments so other people can know about it and hear about it as well. Just take it seriously, guys. Don't use crappy hearing pro. Once you get tinnitus like I have, it doesn't go away, and I hear that E all the time. So pretty please take care of your hearing, because it only gets worse as you get older. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.